The UK is in freefall. Everyone who can is fleeing. There's a housing crisis, mental health crisis, you name it, everything's in crisis. The UK is a sinking ship. Is what you hear constantly when living in the UK. But as a Brit who's been living in Australia for coming up to a year now, in this video I'm going to be ranking the 5 ways that I now see the UK dramatically differently after taking the leap, packing up and moving here. All ranked from the good, the bad, the ugly, and the life-changing realizations. Hey mate, welcome back. I'm Sam, a British expat documenting my journey of leaving the UK and starting afresh to create a better life in Australia. So when I was back living in London, I remember waking up one morning. I was living in East London in Shadwell. It, at the time, was a very rough area, like a lot of criminal activity on my doorstep is all I'm gonna say. And I woke up. It was great, it was raining for the 20th day in a row. I was getting up to get the tube to my dead-end call centre job. They only hired actors. I was a struggling actor in London trying to chase my dreams, and I was sitting on that tube looking at all the other Londoners, and I could just see that no one was happy. And the thing is, I couldn't judge them because I felt the exact same. I was making minimum wage, there was no growth happening in my life, even though I was trying to chase that and be proactive and make it happen. And by this point I was 21 years old, so I'd had a fairly decent amount of time in the UK to sort of think, okay, I really need to actually change things up right now. I need to do something drastic. And if I can be really honest with you, the main thing that is keeping people in the UK is usually their family, their friends, and then their job. Thankfully, I became a freelancer and realized that I didn't have to be tethered to a brick and mortar company in the UK and that I can work around the world. So that got rid of the work tether. But with my friends and family, I'm so close with them, and sadly I'm not a billionaire. I can't just pack them up and move them to Australia, and even if I did have that money, they might not want to. I had these huge dreams of moving abroad and how incredible my life setup could be. But ultimately, my limiting beliefs in trying to force the UK to work for me was holding me back, like I see it hold so many of my friends and family back at home. It reminds me a lot of the sunk cost fallacy, a mindset where people continue to invest in a failing endeavour, even when it's clear that what they're doing is not beneficial. For me, this was continuing my life in the UK. It's not worth trading your life enjoyment for. But I'm starting to feel not so crazy anymore. It seems like everyone who can flee the UK is doing so right now. 10,800 millionaires were lost from the UK last year alone. And I think this is just going to echo down into all of the businesses and ways of life that we see in the UK. More and more people are going to do it, because I know that as soon as my auntie and uncle moved to Spain, then my parents started thinking about it, and then my brother started thinking about it, and then I started thinking, oh, what if I could move to Australia? I've seen video after video of people from all walks of life leaving the UK to start a better life somewhere. And look, they're not just big YouTubers and entrepreneurs, they're everyday people as well. They're taking their taxes, financial impact and opportunities and taking them elsewhere. And it's almost like once you see this trend, you can't unsee it. It is in the back of your head every waking moment, like it was for me living in London. Just a quick one, I was looking at my analytics today and I noticed that over 98% of you who regularly watch my content aren't subscribed yet. So if you are enjoying these videos and you're getting value, consider hitting the subscribe button. Really helps the channel out, thank you. Now, little love story interlude. I ended up finding the love of my life, Maddie. Married her, and turns out she's Australian. One day, her and I were sitting in our London flat after watching James Smith's video on why he left the UK and moved to Australia, with my wife sitting there as well, who is Australian. And there was something about that just made me feel, yeah, I have to make this move. It finally clicked. And James Smith made me realise that I couldn't put my life on hold for my friends and family who were in Gloucestershire. They were a 3-hour drive as it was. I didn't get to see them regularly anyway, so would I really be missing out that much? I just couldn't shift this whole idea. It was like my head had been blown, my whole perspective on life had been changed, and I know that sounds stupid and silly, but I really do mean it. My whole perspective on life had changed. And after working with an awesome guy called Sam P. Dunn, who basically mentored me to get a freelance video editing business off the ground, where it's just me working on it, we had that financial stability where we could be anywhere in the world. So we made the long-awaited leap to Australia. And my wife's parents picked us up from the airport, and as they were driving us through the city, I was looking up at all the skyscrapers, feeling that beautiful hot weather and that sunshine, which it is 80% of the time, like beautiful sunshine and warm. And people seemed happier, and it was the middle of the day and more people seemed to be out on a run or walking their dog. And I'm not just talking about single parents, who aren't at work yet, but people like me. Generally, I found that Australians and expats living here seem to have this general love of life that I really don't see in the UK. And after seeing all of the opportunities and abundance and realistically the lifestyle, it completely made me realise that this was the place to be, and living here for a long time could be completely doable. It only cemented in my brain that I'd made the right decision. And this isn't one of those hate on the UK kind of videos. The UK will always have a soft spot in my heart, and in my opinion, no country can compete with the gorgeous temperament of British summertime. The UK has its benefits and its comforts, and in all honesty, I was very, very lucky to be born in such a stable country, even though a lot of people don't think so right now. But it's such a stark contrast between the lifestyle and the mindset that you see in Australia. I've seen the mindset in the UK being described almost as crabs in a bucket, where people don't want to see you win. When crabs are in a bucket, one is trying to claw their way out, the other crabs will pull the other one back in. And becoming successful and, chasing entrepreneurial endeavors is almost shunned or shied away from. Yes, Australia has its problems as well, which we'll touch on later, but many jobs here pay higher, offer better benefits, which generally equates to a better standard of living. Now, I'm currently coaching my wife to run her first half marathon. The lovely thing about Australia is that by 5 p.m, you hit the pavement outside when the UV is low enough and you're running out there, and you see everyone else doing the same. Everyone's out with their dogs walking, with their kids riding bikes. Some people are in the park having barbecues. People are sitting by the river watching the sunset. People are getting out there and being active. They're playing like pickleball and things like that. Whereas in the UK, it hits 5 p.m, it's usually too cold and dark to want to do anything. You go home, pop the kettle on and watch TV for the rest of the night. And that is the typical routine of a Brit after work. Now let's get brutally honest here. When my wife and I moved here, it initially cost us around £15,000, maybe more, in flights, visa applications, temporary living costs, buying a car and then all of the registration and all of that stuff that comes with it. And in all honesty, whilst the opportunities to make great money here, even if you are working a regular job, are much better than if you were working in the UK, Australia is still going through a cost of living crisis, just like the UK. It's truly not the grass is 100% greener on the other side kind of story. It's more so that Australia personally offered me a better launch pad for me to find more opportunities, make more friends, and live a better, more positive life. I've actually put together a free guide of everything I've learned from quitting my life in the UK and moving to Australia. And because I remember so vividly of how trapped I felt in the UK, I would love to share it with you. You can grab it with the first link in the description, and I hope it helps you like it helped me. I can only share my experience intentionally living in Australia for this 1 year because I was unintentionally living in the UK for 21 years. 24 years, 25 years. As well as on the macro side of things, on the micro, on a more personal level, I found that moving to Australia has made me work even harder, because after you've done that 24-hour flight in economy, you realise that flying long-haul economy is rough. And now I'm working so hard so I can afford business class. I'm not at that point yet, but every step. It's given me a new stream of motivation to work super hard at my channel, at my editing business, and to just constantly improve my life and my income. To prove to the old version of me in the UK that I did make it work in Australia, and I did manage to create and build a successful life in Australia. So when I go back to the UK to see friends and family, and hopefully I've got business class tickets that I've worked so incredibly hard for, with my upgraded life, my wife is happier, I'm happier. I hope that I can share some of that inspiration with them, because I know that my family, just like me, works so hard, and if I could convince them to move to Australia with me, that would be the dream. Even if they don't, it gives me some time to reflect on these life changes and how impactful it is moving to somewhere like Australia intentionally to better your life. Now, I can only tell you my experience and my personal story, but honestly, there's a lot of things that no one is going to tell you before you come to Australia, not even people online. So I made this video here all about the things that I wish I knew before moving to Australia. I hope it helps you. Go watch that next, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.